Hi everyone. I had my car all put together. I had this wiper assembly inside there. Didn't even check it because I had no idea, too intimidated by it. And I decided to just throw it in there and then hopefully it would work. Unfortunately, it didn't work. And my helper here said, "Why did you do that?" It's because I got lazy. Well, I wasn't sure what to do. And everyone in forums and whatever say put a 911 or 912 motor so you could do a 12 volt. Well, I got this rectifier, whatever they call it, and it's a 60 watt one or volt one or whatever they call it, or watts. And you can buy these on eBay or Amazon for like $15 to $20. Don't buy the ones from these guys that sell Porsche parts because they'll charge you almost $75 and it's the same exact part. So please understand that. It's from China too, so um, but it wasn't working. And what did it not work? Why did it? Well, when I opened up the motor looked perfect. Sometimes you open these up and they're so rusty, but this thing looked perfect. But what was inside was this capacitor, and it looked like it blew up on the side. So I said, oh, I got nothing to lose. So luckily I could see the readings. It's a 0025 by 350 volt. Well, I couldn't find anything on the internet. And I'm sure if you went to these electronic websites, you might have found it, but I just couldn't find it. And then the only thing I could find is something like this, and it was on Amazon. This is pretty close. This is 22 UF with 400 volt, which I thought 400 volt was too much, but this is all the capacitor is able to handle. It's not that means that the motor will kick 400 volts. It's just it could handle it. So I said maybe I could just put this in, but if you look at it, it's big. It won't fit in here. And when I took this apart, it's on top of the coil going into the armature. So I said, man, I don't know. So I thought maybe if I could just mount it on the outside, which it wouldn't look bad because no one's going to see it. But I said, you know what, and just drill a hole in here and put it inside, run it through the wire. That was a way. But then I said, hold on, maybe I could just glue two of these smaller capacitors, which these are 10 UF each. So I made a 20, which should be 25, but I didn't think much of it. I just said, if it don't work, I'll just put this on the outside. So I JB welded these together, ran them in parallel, negative to negative and positive to positive. So make sure when you put this in there, make sure you find out which side is the negative, and it has a stripe on the side like this one did. So I don't know if you could get this brand, but this would be the way to go, but I just couldn't find it, so forget about that. Well, I bought these on Amazon, and you look at the values. You know, I'm not going to give you the link, just find it. It's not that hard to find, but it's just amazing that you could fix something yourself without sending it to a shop. I put it on a forum on Facebook, and guys, oh, you gotta take it to hint, put it on take it to someone to have it worked on. I said, well, I'm not that kind of person. I'm one of those persons that like to figure it out and fix it myself. This wiring harness I got from the registry really helps. Downloaded it, and then I upgraded to 12 volt, so I have to reduce it down anyway. So this is the inverter. Like I said, the switch still works. See, I'm slowing it down. It goes slow, and then I can still turn it off, and it stops. So I just wanted to share this with you. It was a little work to take it apart, so you have to undo it from here, these two prongs, and then just make sure you identify each wire, with some kind of identification. So when you pull this through the motor, because you cannot disassemble this motor unless this wire gets fed down. You could take it out, but I doubt if you could change the capacitor. Unless you have one of these, if you find the exact same one, you might be able to take it apart, but I couldn't do it. So I decided just to take the whole thing apart, cleaned it up inside, even though it didn't really need to be cleaned. I mean, it would look brand new. So it was just a tip today, just to show you. I know I might get some poo-poo on it, but basically glued them together, JB welded them, and then I ran them in parallel, and then soldered them in place. I had to have an extension on these so I could get to the wiring, and then I just glued these on top of that coil, and it just barely slipped inside to fit. But this is something, if your motor's blown out on a 356, that's a possibility. That's what's wrong with it. And I would at least try what I did. I paid $16 for all these, and I don't know what I'm going to do the rest of them. But I'm going to dabble into electronics a little bit more, just because it's an interesting thing to know, and it's good to learn, so you can do your own repairs. So I appreciate your time, and I hope you learned something from it, which I did, because there was no one out there showing how to fix these. I appreciate very much for you to watch. Subscribe if you can, if you want, but I appreciate it. Thank you very much, and God bless.